The 2018 Jeep Wrangler is now standard with an electronic 8-speed transmission. That means you need to know where the manual park release is at, just in case you have an emergency. Do you know where it's at? Service transmission. Welcome back. My name is Brandon here with another view, and today we're going to be taking a look at the 2018 Jeep Wrangler. I'm going to be showing you how to take it from park to neutral, in case you ever find yourself in a situation where you're broke down, stranded, or stuck, and you need to move the vehicle for your safety. Now, for those of you who haven't subscribed yet, make sure you do that down below. And while you're there, click that bell icon so you don't miss any new Jeep content. Let's jump right in. So what do I mean by manual park release, or some may call it park override release? Now, what this means is the electronic 8-speed transmission actually locks itself into the park position unless it sees engine RPM and the brake pedal pressed and the door closed. So if it doesn't have all three of those, it's not coming out of drive. This becomes a problem in certain scenarios. So you may wonder, what kind of scenarios would there be to where I need to pull the vehicle into neutral without the engine running? Believe it or not, a lot more than you realize. Here's several right here. Alright, let's say you come out to your Jeep and the battery's dead. So guys, sooner or later this is actually going to happen. And what if you need to move the vehicle forward or backwards so you can gain access to the battery with jumper cables? How are you going to do that? You're going to have to use the manual park override release to move the vehicle. What if you were in an accident and the Jeep wouldn't start, or you didn't want to start the engine because you didn't want to do more damage? Well, hopefully everyone's okay, but when the tow truck driver gets there, he wants to drag your brand new Jeep up the flatbed because he doesn't know how to get it into neutral. Guys, we've got to be smart about our Jeeps, okay? Alright, we got a brand new Jeep, so we got to keep it clean, right? So let's take it to the car wash. You know, that kind of where you leave it neutral and it pulls it through the car wash while you watch on the outside. So you give your keys to the young gentleman, he jumps in it, starts it up, puts it in neutral. As soon as he opens the door, it goes back into park, and he doesn't realize it. Now your Jeep's being dragged through the car wash, doing who knows what kind of damage. So you break down on the side of the road, and you're out of warranty. Your buddy's got a tow dolly, but you've read in the owner's manual that this is not the right way and could cause damage. Do not use the manual park override release for emergency or recreational towing. The proper way is to put the vehicle in park, have the transmission in neutral, and all four wheels on the ground in a forward direction. Now, there are lots of reasons that you would need to put the vehicle into neutral while the engine's not running. But guys, we're just not used to that, so that's something we're going to have to get used to. Alright, so before we get started, I'm curious, how many of you actually knew about this manual park override release feature before this video? Cast your vote up here in the top right corner and let me know. First off, I'm going to show you guys what actually happens when you put the vehicle in reverse or drive with the engine running and the door open. Now, guys, this is a serious issue because Chrysler had a recall several years ago on the Jeep Grand Cherokee and several other vehicles that had the 8-speed transmission with the rotary knob. And what was happening is when they opened the door right here, okay, and they left their foot off the brake and it was in reverse, it would still go backwards. But as you can see here, it automatically puts it in park, and you can see that's blinking, but it's actually in park. So as you can see, the engine's not running here by the tachometer, so the computer sees no engine RPM with the key in the run position, okay? Now, this is interesting what happens here. When I press my foot on the brake and try to get out of park, it's locked up. This is where our problem's at right here, okay? This is why we need the manual park override release. The first and most important step of this procedure is pulling the parking brake. Guys, this is critical. Depending upon the situation of the vehicle, it could roll away from you and someone could get seriously hurt. So make sure you pull the parking brake. Depending upon the situation you're in, you may or may not have any tools. But one thing's for sure, hopefully you have the key. So for now, I'm going to show you how to do this with using the key. Or if you have a screwdriver, that'd work also. Now, if you look right in front of the gear shifter, down below, there's a little panel here that is going to come off. Now, we can use this key that we talked about and just stick right in that little hole there and just going to lightly press down and then up, and then it'll pop right out, okay? This is going to allow us to gain access to the manual park override release. Now, when you get that cover off, you'll see an orange tether there that you can stick your finger through and pull up. But before we do that, we want to make sure and verify that the parking brake is 100% engaged, okay? We don't want no one getting hurt. So after you make sure that the parking brake is fully in the up position and is 100% engaged, we're going to reach in front of the gear shifter here, stick our finger through that tether, and give it a slight tug, and it's going to lock into position, okay? You'll hear it click. Some other Chrysler Dodge Jeep models actually have a safety that you have to slide over before you pull the tether. The Jeep Wrangler does not have that. The Jeep is now in neutral, okay? Even though the gear shifter shows it to be in park, you can see it blinking. That's letting you know that it is in neutral. So the vehicle can be subject to roll now if the parking brake was released. Also, you can see here in the instrument cluster, it says service transmission. Set the parking brake to prevent rolling. So now I'm going to show you what the other side of this tether is actually attached to. Moving up underneath the vehicle, on the driver's side of the transmission, right behind the transmission cooler lines, you'll see the parking pawl lever, and attached to that is that little rod there that's connected to the orange tether up top. Now zooming back, you'll see that there's the front drive shaft there at the top. And if you take a closer look, you'll see that Jeep has engineered the transmission pan to be steel instead of the standard plastic that we normally see in the 8-speed. Now that we've got the Jeep moved to a safe location, we need to re-engage the parking pawl. So you just want to grab the tether again, give it a slight tug, and you'll feel it release, and then go back down into the lock position. As you can see, the park indicator is not flashing anymore, and our message in the cluster is gone. So now we're going to reinstall the access panel that we removed earlier. So you want to get it in its nice little spot there, give it a little push, and it'll snap right in place, okay? Guys, I really appreciate you watching, and I hope that everyone that watches my videos actually leaves knowing a little more than they did before they watched it. That's what it's all about, guys. And thank you again, and have a great day.